You find yourself wondering what your instructor means when they say, "I need this paper with the correct in-text citation and a works cited page at the end." While there are a number of citation formats that exist, some disciplines use footnotes like CMS or Chicago, while others ask for parenthetical in-text citations like APA. This lesson will focus on the Modern Language Association format, also known as MLA. Your instructor may require a different citing style, but the principles are the same. You will learn the guidelines for your discipline, but the general rule for citations is, when in doubt, cite. In general, it is always a good idea to cite when you use a direct quote, paraphrase another author's words or idea, summarize someone's ideas or thoughts in your own words, use original facts and data from other scholars to support your own point. If the information is commonly known, then you do not need to cite a source. Supplementary information you may provide at the end of your paper or speech outline. Pocket-style guides are available, and the Duke University Library's website will refer you to the 5 most common formats. One of the better online sites is the Online Writing Lab, or OWL, from Purdue University. It is an easily navigated site with a wealth of information and examples. It is an excellent site for your purposes as a student under Purdue's Fair Use Policy. There's even a YouTube video on how to use the site. If you are required to use APA citation, Purdue University has a YouTube channel that will guide you through the basics. Since most of you are familiar with and have used MLA, we will use the 8th edition citation format. While it is not possible to cover all aspects of MLA, we'll go over the most commonly used citations. So let's start with in-text citations. The purpose of the in-text citation is to lead the reader to the appropriate citation in works cited. We'll go over the 2 most common ones, books and online or electronic sources. Books. In an in-text citation for a book, the author's name must appear either in the sentence or in the parentheses at the end. The page number will always be in the parentheses and will never be part of the sentence. There are many ways to do this based on the context of what you're writing and the stylistic choices you make as a writer. Your instructor will indicate the amount of detail they want in the citation. It's also a good idea to vary your citation so you don't sound redundant. So, for example, if you wanted to refer to Susan Rye's book titled, "Your Voice is Your Calling Card: How to Power Charge Your Voice, Boost Your Confidence, and Speak with Joy, Ease, and Conviction," in your essay or speech outline, there are multiple ways of writing it as an in-text citation. Rye suggests that, in order to establish a strong and long-lasting friendship with your voice and to get the best results, you simply have to be aware of both the voice technicalities and your emotional and psychological well-being. 13. In order to establish a strong and long-lasting friendship with your voice and to get the best results, you simply have to be aware of both the voice technicalities and your emotional and psychological well-being. Rye, 13. Rye advises that in order to trust your voice, you have to look at it from a technical as well as an emotional perspective. 13. In order to trust your voice, you have to look at it from a technical as well as an emotional perspective. Rye, 13. Online electronic sources. We often get confused on how to cite an online source, especially when there's no definite page number or even author to cite. For all online or electronic sources, remember to include in the text the first item that appears in the works cited entry corresponding to the citation. For instance, author name, article name, website name, film name. You do not need to give paragraph numbers or page numbers. You do not need to list URLs in text. So instead of http://www.deanza.edu/, you would just say deanza.edu. Academic online journals will be easy to source as they will have the author clearly stated. Verbal presentations. When giving a speech, it's important to include the source of your information into your speech as you deliver it. Verbally citing the source in the presentation is not only intellectually honest, but it adds credibility to the information. An oral citation alerts the audience to the author or origin of the source, and may include the type of the source, the title or description of the source, and date of the source. Each instructor has his or her own preferences for oral citations and how detailed they want them to be. Your speech instructor will go over how they want you to cite the source in a speech. CNN reported on October 29th that the death toll from the 7.5 earthquake had risen to 300, with the expectation that number would rise dramatically. According to Alex Park and Julia Lurie at Mother Jones, each individual almond requires 1.1 gallons of water to produce. In an NPR interview, Neil deGrasse Tyson, director of the Hayden Planetarium in New York, explained, "Space exploration is a force of nature unto itself that no other force in society can rival. And in the 21st century, innovations in science and technology are the foundations of tomorrow's economy." Once you have completed your research and documented your sources, it is time to create your Works Cited page. You should have either a citation handbook or website like Purdue OWL handy. Let's examine a few general rules and then showcase a few commonly cited sources based on the 8th edition of the MLA handbook. The 8th edition no longer requires the medium of publication. Instead, the researcher notes the visible information about where the work was collected. Use italics, instead of underlining, for titles of larger works, magazines, books, and quotation marks for titles of smaller works, poems, articles. A container refers to the larger collection of essays, multi-volumes, or website in which the source was found. The use of URLs is optional, but it is recommended, especially when it is part of a container. Be sure to check with your instructor as to their preference. MLA citation examples. Social media follows the same pattern for most internet sources. Author's name, period, article name in quotation marks, period, overall site title in italics, comma, posting date, period. An article in a scholarly journal cites the author or authors, period, the title of the article in quotation marks, period, italicize the volume, container, comma, volume number, comma, page number, comma, date, comma, page numbers, period. For more information on the various ways you can use MLA, you can visit the Online Writing Lab, or OWL, from Purdue University. There are several websites that will produce a citation for you, but the listing needs to be checked for correctness by consulting with your professor. You have completed your research, validated your sources, and carefully cited your sources, and in the case of a speech, integrated them into your outline. So now, let's go over how to assemble a Works Cited page. For MLA style, the words Works Cited should be centered at the top of a new page. The entries should be in alphabetical order based on the first word of your entry, whether it is a name or not. Double space all entries, but do not add an additional space between entries. Indent the second and subsequent lines of an entry by 0.5 inches to create a hanging indent.